Students, you are going to listen to a speaker who has been the inspirer of many Sri Lankan entrepreneurs. Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Shant and the colleague. Of course, I think Shant and the colleague raised the expectation very high. I hope I can deliver the expectation. That's a bit of a challenge. Professor Yapa and the distinguished panel and dear friends, I'll roughly take about 1 hour. And I was telling Shanta I will structure my presentation in three groups or 3 levels. First one is that I'll share the last 2.5 years drama from a business angle, because you all are business students. How you can face real life examples when from 2020, when the COVID hit Sri Lanka, of course the entire world, how Maliban, because Maliban is a 40 billion company now, we run 5 companies under the Maliban group. So how we have taken certain steps, and if I take the business results, the last 2 years in Maliban history of 70 years, we have produced the best results. Not the top line only, even the bottom line, even the customer satisfaction, and even the employee satisfaction. So how we have achieved that. And the second one is about digitalization, how we use practically what sort of things in digital world. Of course, I know for the young generation it's not a new thing, but explain some practical stuff, how you could use and how we have used. And finally, the final chapter of the whole presentation is our speech is that you see that a lot of students, when you study business management, end of the day, you want to achieve something in your professional life. You have a plan to achieve becoming a managing CEO one day, to start your own business. And some of the techniques which you must use, because in today's Sri Lankan context, there's a severe competition. People are getting educated at level and at master's level. So I have conducted about 900 interviews, mostly medium to senior level. And some of my experience when you're in the corporate world, how to be successful in the corporate world. So that's the final chapter, right? So the first chapter, how we have faced the challenges and move forward. As you know, on the 20th of March 2020, when COVID hit Sri Lanka pretty badly, it was a completely new thing for all of us. New virus, a lot of unknown factors, and a company which has about 4,000 to 5,000 people. So we have to run the operation with all these unknown factors. So one of the main things we did, I can remember first week or immediately after the 20th, is that we decided that we will be right on top of things what we can control. So dear students, one thing in life you have to understand, a very fundamental principle, that do not spend your energy of things that you cannot control. I'll give you some examples here. Say first time we faced a health curfew, because we are used to security curfew due to security reasons. So, and then how the unpredictability of the environment, because you don't want to go out, you don't know from where you gather the virus. So in that scenario, when you have 4,000 people, there's a lot of negativity in the whole thing. So the first thing we gave a promise, actually from senior level, the chairman onwards, the board, is that we will make all the precautionary measures where we will handle this situation with utmost care and effective, especially the health concern. And we will go through this. We are very confident we can go through this challenge. And first thing is that don't waste time in the boardroom or anywhere discussing things that we cannot control. Say for example, curfew. This is beyond our control. But you have to have right adjustability to do that, to face that. I'll give you a simple example, the production. We decided, okay, the production has to go on, and the distribution. If you do those two things, technically we are okay. So the second thing, the company focus was that doing the fundamentals. These are very fundamentals, right? Most of the thing, when you are pressed to the wall, you try to do things which is little exciting, but neglecting the fundamentals. Life is all about, if you are pressed to the wall, if you stick to your fundamentals right, and we have experienced that. Our fundamentals is very simple. Do the production, and our DNA, the company, the entire DNA is quality. So we said don't deviate the quality. With all the hassles we have to produce a quality product and do the distribution. Pretty fundamental, but it's very tough. I'll give you an example. The factory at any time, there are about 1,200, because we have 3 shifts working, and when the curfew hit, we had only about 400 in Colombo, and on the balance workforce has gone outside. So we spoke to the forces, we spoke to the health authorities, we got special permission, and Maliban is the only company, to my knowledge, during the 2020 after March to the next 21 March, where we had lost production only 2 days due to curfew. Only 2 days out of 365 days. We managed it exceptionally well. We went beyond boundaries, we took special permission, and we ran the factory. And our sales force also work very hard. They generally work 8 to 6 kind of stuff, but they work sometimes 6 to 10 because of when the curfew goes. So they had a very flexible time. And what happened? The third one was that, of course, we all did with taking a lot of precautionary measures. We created a bubble inside the factory. We created a bubble, for example. We gave transport the girls who were staying in what do you call it, in those boarding places. We gave meals. We asked them not to go out. At least the first 6 months, we kept that bubble, and they were not exposed to the outside world. We spent roughly about 30 million rupees extra for health. That's why Maliban is the first foods company to get the SLIIT COVID certification. So we did, again, it's a very fundamental thing because health comes first. With all that, what happened, we produced in 70 years history the best ever business results. So it's very important that, especially now again the crisis is, forex crisis, US dollar huge problem. Sri Lanka will go through this at least for the next 1.5 years, 2 years, till it comes back to some kind of a normalcy. We have done a lot of consumer research. We have seen this disposable income is almost static, but the cost of living has gone up, especially food sector has gone up plus 60%. So there are a lot of challenges, but I can tell you, we have taken all precautionary measures what we can do as a company. And we do not have any risk of asking any employer, for example. You would have seen it on newspapers. A lot of companies are now asking people to go home. I'm very happy to tell you last 3 years, we have protected our force, not only the frontline staff, including the management. We have given, their income has not dropped a single cent. In fact, we have given special bonuses for them, right? So, and first time during the COVID, we won the best place to work, great place to work award also. Independent outside group, they did a full research and found that our people are exceptionally happy. Because that's, you need that. Because you see that in the newspapers, on TV, especially the last 2 years, even now, a lot of negative. We did a research that when you see this when you read papers and watch TV, a lot of negative stuff, a lot of people are getting sick, people are dying. Always, it's not really something that you would love to hear. So we told the people, be careful of your mindset. Because if you want to conquer the world, if you want to win your battle, you have to have a positive mindset. So we did a lot of things. I'll give you a simple thing what we did. We started a thing called town hall meetings. You know, people come once a month The senior 3-4 people talk about the current situation, and a lot of positive information we share. Because it is important that in a negative, when you're exposed to a lot of negative information, your mindset also can be very negative. And if the senior level becomes negative, it filters down. Like if the parents are negative, the children can be negative, right? So I'll touch about successful people later on. It is very important for organization to have that, the right thing, right? So when we did that, one of the things when the company gives superb results, who is behind the whole thing? So that's the question, and there are a lot of interviews we have done, but I must tell you there's no single hero here. There's absolutely no single hero. Chairman up to the factory floor girl, up to the sales rep who is working on the street, all have become heroes, and we actually recognize that way. There's no one team. Marketing has done it, sales team has done it, production team, or the production manager, the CEO, whoever. It is not that. There's no single hero. You can't win a game. You can't win with one single hero or a group of people. It's the entire team. So we made sure that all are heroes, and we created that culture. And I'm happy to say I'm leading it I'm part of the team, which has a lot of positive energy. I know for sure next 1.5 years, in the milk tea side, we had a lot of issues, and the issues will continue for next 1.5 years. But company is pretty sound. We have gained shares, we have gained customer satisfaction index, all kind of stuff. So what you have to learn from that experience is that as a student even, do not waste your time. Just do analysis. When I went to this particular university, Cambridge, they were doing an exercise on with students how much you spend time on things that what you cannot control, what you discuss. Say for example, I take a very unorthodox example, how much you spend time on discussing about politics, unless you really want to make a change. You can discuss, you should know what's happening around, but the time limit, even a discussion with your friend. So it is very important that you have to focus. I asked this question from Mahila Jayawardena, former Sri Lankan captain. He's a good friend of mine, and a lot of people say probably after Arjun he's the best captain we have produced. And now world ICC has recognized him as one of the best cricket brains. I asked Mahila that when he was captaining the Sri Lankan team, there were a lot of issues at board level at that time, and sort of how you manage that. He said, Ravi, I always focus on things that I can control fully. I'm not really worried about the other side, what's happening, and it's really fully focused on things that I can control. So I have a set of players, 11 players or 15 players when you go out of Sri Lanka. And every minute we discuss the things in the dressing room, what we can control. So he gave a very interesting example, is that he said if it rains, and there's a thing called Dashwood-Lewis system, he said rain is beyond our control. So then the run rate changes, if you are keen on cricket, and then they reduce the number of overs, reduce the target. He said once you get that, it's up to you to adjust your game and play and win. No point, we were on the way to win and suddenly the rain came and now what to do kind of stuff. He said we never got into that situation. So it's very important in life that you spend your time, put your energy in things that you can control. Don't try to criticize things you cannot control. No point unless you get a huge satisfaction by doing that. And at board level, Maliban, we really implemented that. And we reaped harvest. And in your personal life, you should do that. Right? And do the fundamentals right. What are the key fundamentals as a student? And that's something which you have to do. If your fundamentals say, I do a lot of studies on how people sort of prosper in professional life and personal life. One of the fundamental is the discipline. another is integrity. So those things you have to talk to yourself, how is my discipline? Are you really, because you can gain a short-term gain by being disciplined, but long-term you will lose. As a company is also the same. As a team it's the same. Right? And All Blacks, if you really see, All Blacks is, if you do a Google search, in any team sport, All Blacks, the New Zealand rugby team, is the most successful team in the world for any sports. The last 100 years, their success rate is almost very close to 80%. One of the key factors the All Blacks says is we are exceptionally disciplined. Right? So again, going back as just an example of fundamentals. And the second one the All Blacks says, we always, champions, have a mindset that we work much harder than the rest. Again, very fundamental. So it's very important sticking to this. If you want to come out of the pack, like Usain Bolt, you would have seen breaking world 100-meter record. If you really deep dive what his success rate, he has practiced more time than the rest. There's a question of talent and hard work. I've read a lot of people who are very successful, the difference between talent and hard work on successful people. The difference is that all are talented. The difference is hard work. So don't think, okay, I'm exceptionally talented, I can get through the exam. You need to put your heart and soul into that. Mahila was saying, Mahila and Sangha during his time, probably the two best batters we have produced, they said they practice much more than the rest. Muttai Murudharan, the same. Yes, and Lasat Malik, they were bowling much at the nest than the rest. So you can come out, so you can see the difference. So it's very important. Do not take shortcuts in your life. So if you work hard, you will see the results. There are no shortcuts for success. That's very important. Right. So second one is about the digitalization. I think I'm not really going to spend much time, but it is very important in today's world. Everyone has a smartphone. You would have seen during the last couple of months especially, there are a lot of controversial things going on Facebook, and that will continue. And you cannot imagine a world without the technology now. But one thing you have to be very careful here. I'll tell you from a company's point of some stuff. Not to lose the human angle. Now you have the technology, and then people should be used to, sometime back, I think Nike or one of the telephone, Apple IT head, I can't remember the exact person, but he said that phones, people use only about 28% of the features, but still they go for a new model. So 72% of the phone features you are not really using it, but still you go for a new phone. So you can see how people look for new things, right? But there's a negative side to digitalization. I'll start with that and then I'll go for the positive side. Coke did a research. I worked for Coke for a while about the human touch and the digitalization. He said that this was done in the United States, that when you go to the canteen, the students, this is school at your level, and about 10 years ago, about 15 years ago, there's a beautiful conversation. There's a gang of about 6 to 8 in a group. They have a lovely conversation. But now, still the group remains the same, 6 to 8, but they're on the phone, sending texts, WhatsApp, all. So they're not communicating the person right in front of you. They're communicating with a person probably maybe from another town or from another country. So that personal touch is missing. So that's something you cannot replace. I've seen that we use a lot of Zoom meeting. You all must be using Microsoft. Online studies, you do that, that's effective, that's one way, that's you have to do that. But nothing to replace that one-on-one. So you have to strike the right balance. We have to strike the right balance. That's very crucial, because we also do have a lot of Zoom meetings, but we are told the guys, hey, most important meetings, nothing to replace one-on-one meeting. That touch has to be there, and it will be like that. You cannot go to one stream, and there can be there can be a negative impact for sure, right? So, but digitalization is a must. I'll give you a few examples which my company has gone through. We implemented SAP with about spending 140 million, and SAP is a top-end tool, and we had a huge problem with people getting used to that. Right? Sometimes you can buy the technology, and getting used to it. So it took almost like 3 years for people to get used to it. It's not a few days or few months. Now we are almost like 80 to 90% okay. Then getting from the information from SAP, we are sort of all synchronized, all the departments are synchronized, decision making is very fast, productivity, it has enhanced the productivity at least by about 16%, lot of benefit, unbelievable benefit. And again, there are a lot of information that comes out of SAP, management decision making. I've seen people are using only about 30 to 40%. Still, about 60% information we can use. So, when we use the technology, it is very crucial for us to understand that the information is in the company. Like your study, you have a lot of things to study. What you exactly you're using it for for the examination. So you have to select the right information. But are you fishing out information which is not that useful? So when we did a data mining thing, we have told the management, okay, these are the dashboards that everybody should must read, must absorb stuff, number one. And then we put it in descending order, the first file. That's very crucial. So when you do digitalization, when you are exposed to information, that is very important for you to understand what is most important and what is less important in a context. Today's number 5 in terms of importance, in 3 months down the line can hit number 1. Right? I'll give you a simple example. The shopper understanding. When you go to a supermarket or a retail grocery, how the shopper behaves. We do a lot of in-depth studies on shopper behavior. Pre-COVID, shopper information, we have got a fairly good understanding. So it was like number 4, number 5. We know how the shopper behaves. We have done a lot of research. But immediately after COVID, shopper entire dynamics changes. So it became number 1. One of the most important things, to give an example, that people immediately after COVID, people were reluctant to go to supermarkets, for example, because the interaction with someone is greater than going to a smaller grocery, neighborhood grocery. Because I don't interact with much people if I go to a neighborhood grocery. And what sort of products? Now recently we have seen the shopper continuously changing. She's going for more smaller packs than the large packs. You must be doing it due to economic reasons. Earlier, so the things can keep on changing, but it's very important that what information you have to use it. I'll give you a very another example of a stream example of digitalization. In terms of using information for decision making, you must be knowing, or you'd have seen, the Formula 1 races, the car races, right? Formula 1 race is people, there are about 23 races in a calendar. These are car races. You don't get in Sri Lanka, you don't get in India. I think the closest country that is doing that race, I think it's in Malaysia, or definitely Singapore the last week. Right? So, in a Formula 1 race, against that, the Formula 1 car can go up to about 350 kilometers per hour, and they can take a bend at about 300 kilometers per hour. Car is still steady, one of the most steadiest cars. Of course, probably the steadiest vehicle in the world, Formula One car. They're designed in such a manner, and if you hit 350 kilometers per hour head-on collision, the driver will be absolutely safe. So safety parameters probably the best by far in terms of safety parameters. And it has roughly about 300 sensors in a Formula car. And in a race goes to about 1.5 hours, 1 hour and 15 minutes roughly, that's about 75 minutes. The amount of information, data, is for a race is about 2 billion. Imagine a 2 billion information. They analyze the race engineers and advise the drivers during using SAP. The digitalization at its best. And the winner and the loser is 1/10 of a second. So this is something where they say, when you use information, how fast you use that information and how accurately you have to interpret those information. The speed, I'll give you a very simple example. They changed all 4 tires. And if you take more than 3 seconds to change it, you have lost the battle. All 4 tires, when you change your car tire, 3 seconds is to get down from the vehicle, you may take few minutes. And they change all 4 tires, the best average is 3 seconds. So you can see the other streams of using information. And that's sort of a, and still people do that, which, their race engineers are used to do that, and for them it's just nothing. It's a practice. So digitalization is something which, I'll give you another example, palm top. The sales rep sells to the outlet using a palm top. And at any given time, Monday sales, on Tuesday I know exactly how many cream cracker been sold across 100,000 outlets we cover. And what are the outlets? Say, off Polonnaruwa, this particular road, how much the Golmari has been sold. The information. And then it filters down the information, goes to the branch team, and they look at those information. What are the areas that we have to improve? What are the areas we are doing good? What are the brands that is doing good? And it's real-time information. Maximum 24 hours delay. Yesterday's information you get today. So the world is changing very fast, and you have to stick to the real-time information. To stick to real-time information for management decision making, it is very important to use the technology. And you all are good. I think sort of what we have done. I saw a research done. People are really used. The mobile phone gives a lot of digital sort of. You're pretty used to that. But try to use the technology to, say, smart calendar, for example, for more productive thing, rather than just a communication tool for fun and all kind of stuff. That's good, that's by the way. But it is very important especially when you're studying, it is very important to use that to take you to the next level. We have seen, I'll tell you another thing, on e-commerce. You must be buying products on e-commerce. Roughly, on a rule of a thumb, we have a huge marketing budget. I don't want to tell you the number, but we do have. And roughly, rule of a thumb, marketing, if you spend 100 million, roughly about 60% we used for TV, radio and press before COVID. Now, with social media coming up, we almost use 40% on below the line, almost 50% on below the line activities like sampling. Earlier it was about 20%. Some top markets like Europe, France, Italy, Germany, those countries, top FMCG companies use almost 70% of their budget, communication budget, on digital marketing and below the line activities. Very little on the above. That's the trend, global. So how important even using in communication. So the countries are like e-commerce. We have seen in Sri Lanka some supermarkets are selling online, has developed immensely here 10 years ago, and now Walmart, for example, about 10% of their total business now is coming from online. I met one of the Tesco supply chain directors. Tesco is a British supermarket chain. He said Tesco has decided not to expand their outlets because in certain areas online is much better than just having a brick and mortar store because it's costly. Sri Lanka is also doing so. Online marketing is something which it will spread because earlier people had a lot of reluctances to put the credit card, but now it has become part of especially with COVID. People love to get stuff closer to your doorstep. So a lot of changes are happening. But one thing you have to do as a company, as an individual, to see how you can use the technology because it's overcrowded now. To use the right tool, and people should have the right competency to use that tool for the enhancement of productivity and the business. Otherwise, if you try to overplay it, it has a reverse impact. So you have to use the right, like we are very careful of using technology. If there's a huge mismatch between technology and the people, unless you train the people and bring the technology, it's like you buy a very sophisticated car, you can't drive kind of a thing. So it's a waste of time and frustration. Because the biggest thing is not to install the technology where people get used to it. Because sometimes when people are used to a certain rhythm, it's very difficult to change. Very difficult to change. There's a human element is the most challenging thing. Right? Especially if you're over 30. I'm really sort of saying in general, the younger people have the adaptability is much greater. But you can't help it. In an organization you have both young and old, you need that. You have the good experience and so you have to have the right blend. So finally, I'd like to touch about, since you're studying for certain business management, and SLIIT is probably one of the best. I've seen the remarks, and I just went through your website also, and I've met some of your ex-people, so it's pretty good in terms of the curriculum, the panel, and the facilities. So it's really you are at the right place at the right time. But one thing you have to be very, very concerned of, okay, what I want to achieve by studying this in business management, right? So it's very important that I'll give you from an MBA perspective. In Sri Lanka, there are about 6,000 or 5,000 people is getting qualified from masters for a year. So MBA has become a very, like 15 years ago, the number was below 2,000. So in that context, you can get qualified. I've seen people doing very qualified, but still they struggle to get employed. Secondly, even if they get employed, they don't really do well because the working environment is completely different. One of the things that we have seen in business area especially, people are trying to become theoretical. Like Thomas Alva Edison said that you have to learn from hand and head. This is like medicine. If you get through your exam and if you can't handle a sales problem or a marketing problem, with little bit of experience, you will not be that successful. So you have to think always the practical side of it and try to, with your qualification, get that practical exposure. My first advice is that don't look for your salary or position. Try to develop a career. Okay, because at a junior level, I asked from my HR what exactly they asked. They are very concerned about the salary. Oh, salary is important, your income is important. And the job designation. These are very funny things, and those are not serious things for long term. Right? So what you have to ask is that, okay, what exactly the exposure I get? What is my learning curve? Because you can invest till about 35 on your learning curve. If you try to go for money and position at a very young age, you may get it, but your overall growth after a few years will be very limited. Right? So it's very important that you have to continuously look to upgrade yourself. After touching the certificate, it's just only 5% of the whole game. To go through that journey, you have to enjoy what you do. That is beyond any doubt. My background, though I'm a group CEO right now, is actually sales and marketing, and I enjoyed every minute of it. So you have to talk to yourself and ask, am I enjoying what I'm doing? Is this a business management thing? I hope it is. Right? That's why I was doing a little bit of teaching in Australia after leaving Coke. I did join Maliban. I was doing some lecturing there. Actually, they do a personality check. If you want to get into marketing or sales, business management, whether your personality matches with that. And it's a self-selection. The teachers, the parents, they don't get involved much. The experts comes and really do that, and that's a really selection. Okay, if I want to become a pilot, whether my personality really suits that piloting, because at the end of the day, when you start working, you will be doing much more. You spend more time than at home, so you should enjoy what you do. So you have to really see that, talk to yourself and say, hey, even studies. If you say just come, okay, I have to do this business study. I don't know how to get through. What the hell this is? If you see this is a hell, this will be hell. But it's, I have a goal, I want to achieve it, I enjoy every minute of it. It's tough, but I can go through this toughness. That's the game you have to play. That's the game you have to play. Otherwise, you become just a number of many. Don't become a number. Because outside, there's a heavy competition. And with this recession, I can tell you, whether here or you go overseas, you see that England has taken over from Sri Lanka. Big news, going through tough time. Europe is going through tough time. A lot of Asian countries, this is not only for Sri Lanka. Everywhere. Some people go to England, some people I know to go to Australia. All these countries, including New Zealand, going through tough times. So when these tough times comes, if you want to win, still you can, but you have to be smart. So first thing is that if you enjoy what you do, anything you do, my first sincere advice is that if you want to succeed, you enjoy. Right? There are so many, recently Roger Federer, who has won more Grand Slam than I think the third in tennis history. He was interviewed when he was at 35. They said, Roger, are you retiring from tennis? He said, no, the day I stop enjoying, I will retire. He retired from tennis about a month ago, at the age of 41, and he said that I really enjoyed playing tennis. Now I feel enough is enough. So the learning is that if you enjoy, the performance comes. If you enjoy studying, you will do well. Don't think, okay, the masters are pressing, parents are pressing, my friends are getting big numbers. If you do it that way, you will not succeed. It's a very temporary. You should be self-driven. You should be self-driven. All the successful people drive themselves, not by a third-party drive, because that is very artificial. You don't believe what you do. So it's very important that you have to do a little bit of intro. Ravi, probably one of the best leadership gurus in the world, that he says that when you're doing studies, you have to talk to yourself every day 5 minutes, intrapersonal communication. You talk to yourself and say, hey, what I'm doing is the right thing. Am I enjoying my studies? Am I really doing it? Can I do better? How can I conquer? So once you get into that, it is very important that you, in business management or whatever skills, you are really studying hard skills. You maybe learn theories, you learn concepts, all that is good. Everybody will learn it. But very important thing is that to win the game or do well, you have to improve your softer skills side. Now, I'm not really going to talk. I'll give you Harvard University did a research sometime back. They selected the best teams, best individuals, most successful athletes, most successful corporate people. They put it into 2 quadrants. And see why some teams, some individuals have done exceptionally well and some have not. 20% of the success is due to educational qualification, experience, their family background, etc. Only 20%, don't get me wrong. And what is that balance 80%? Anybody? The balance 80% is the positive thinking. So you have to think, okay, whether you're a positive individual or a negative individual. Life will be very tough if you are a negative. So that's what Ravi Sharma says. Before you try to understand others, try to understand your own personality. In marketing, we use this very often. If there's half a filled glass, we say, okay, whether it's half filled or half empty. If you see half empty, you see the negative side of that. If you see half filled, it's a positive. I'll give you a simple example. If one of your colleagues is doing a presentation, imagine that presentation is really, the temperature is around 18, but he or she is sweating because he cannot talk in front of a crowd. But he gives some beautiful examples. So if you're a smart person, you will not laugh at that person. No point of laughing at people. You will not learn anything. But say, okay, he's sweating. I know that because he's not used to public speaking. Fair enough. It's okay. It's okay. But he's giving some beautiful examples that like icing on the cake. So it's very important that when I do my next presentation, I also should learn from that and give some examples. So it's very important that when you are learning, you learn classroom, you may be doing group studies, all that, but learning is from everywhere. I've seen books, people learn from beggars. And what you learn from beggars, they do begging not for an hour, not for a day, not for a week, for years, and still they've survived. You and I probably cannot do it for a few hours. So they must be using a certain technique for survival. I work for Glendon, one of the top consultants firm in the world on selling. And I was only Sri Lankan in that panel. And these guys are masters, they are in Europe. And they came, one of the most difficult selling technique is a payment offer. The payment guys? The people are passing and they have to get their attention. They have to stop you walking. They have to make you come closer and they have to make a sale. They call it a 30-second sale. The payment offers. Very tough selling. It's not like going to a supermarket and buying because people spend time in the supermarket. This Glendon top consultant went to Mumbai to study how these payment hawkers are selling. What are the techniques they use? And in their selling module, they included that. They easily can say, we are the consultants for Unilever, we are the consultants for Nike, we are consultants for Procter & Gamble. We don't have to learn from payment hawkers in Mumbai. Absolutely no way. Right? They're extremely expensive people also. But the key learning is that you have to wear your learning hat all over. It's absolutely everywhere. Try to grab the positive. You can do it from home. If your parents are having unshakable tolerance level, whether you learn from your parents. But try to focus on the positive from the other person. If you have a friend, what he has or she has, which I don't have, can I absorb it? So continuously you will go up. I have done it, right? If you want to learn public speaking, watch some of Barack Obama's, former American president, how he speaks. You don't have to worry about what his political career is. This is not your game. He's probably one of the best speakers during his time, even now, in the world. So you grab it. That is important. And that if you do that, I've seen these people doing it. And when I was at Unilever, one of the top speakers, public speakers, he said, Ravi, every time somebody speaks, I grab something. I have never sort of missed an opportunity to learn someone when they do public speaking. And that's something which has given me be one of the best speakers. No secret. The another area of trying to become positive when you do that is that you have to be solution focused, and especially in business management. Don't try to give excuses for problems, and that's something is not individually or even whatever the job you do. As Albert Einstein said, every problem has 5 solutions. So you have to set your mind that whenever problems comes, rather than communicating the problem, convert it to the solution. Okay, what is the solution for this issue? I'm not really worried about this problem. I have failed the exam, I have failed the subject, I was anticipating 90 marks, only 60 marks came, whatever. Don't worry about that. Life is up and down, so it's up to you to see how resilient you are and how quickly you can adapt and be positive and go into the solution. And when you are in the solution, you have a more positive mindset than thinking of the problem. I'll give you a simple example. I used to write to the Sunday Times on selected individuals and on their personality traits. I interviewed former Coke chairman of Sri Lanka. He's a French guy. He said that, Ravi, I used this technique very effectively. And I lost my job arguing with, he was with Coke in one of the African countries, and I was 38, I had a beautiful wife, 2 lovely kids. I lost my job. So I used a technique, I was worried only for a few minutes. And then I immediately changed the gear to the solution. That's the technique I used. Every time when I have a problem, I should put into the solution gear. And what I did, I did a CV within 24 hours solution. I put that CV to best of my friends, about 7-8 friends, within the next 48 hours, positive. Then I told my wife that I have got negotiated a salary of 6 months, so we can survive for 6 months. We'll go out, have some sort of a holiday, positive, to putting the entire family energy up. And he said he was a bit of a horizontally expanded guy. He said, I'm going to spend at least half an hour for walking. He said, that helped immensely for me to become physically fit. I was not worried about where I lost my job. I just thought about it only for 10 minutes because I was on the solution. And what happens? In 3.5 months, he got a job in Italy, again with Coke, a pretty good job. He said, that's something which I use in my personal life. So it's very important, dear friends, is that whenever you come across, I use that immensely. These days when you are exposed to a lot of challenges, stick to the solution. No point of, Asian mentality is that when you get into an issue, you think what my friends will think, what my parents will think. Don't worry about what other people think. It is beyond your control. So if you are right on top of your situation, you are not worried about what other people think. If you do the right thing, people can criticize you. People can, but if you are very sure that what you are doing is right, all these top decisions, we have seen it. I, have taken decisions people sometimes criticize. I don't care to who, if I feel this is the right decision. Because you cannot satisfy. If you try to satisfy everyone, you are technically not satisfying everyone. But you have to be absolutely sure. Your decision may be wrong, doesn't matter. But your strike rate has to be. Kumar Sangakkar is supposed to be probably one of the best batters here, but he got out for 0. But if you take 10 decisions, but he has scored more runs than failing. So that's why his average is about 50. So if you take 10 decisions, if you fail, if you take 2 wrong decisions, doesn't matter because your strike rate is 80%. But the problem is you are worried about those 2 decisions. People criticize you. So it takes your energy out. Don't let it go like that. Don't let it go like that. End of the day, you should enjoy your journey. Achieving something is secondary. Positions are secondary. Earning money is secondary. But if you do the right thing, if you select the right path, if you become positive, money will come, positions will come. It is very important. That's why we do a lot of research on people's happiness and it's quite interesting. Say a question, how are you doing? A normal question he answers. It's okay. Very lethargy. That's really shows 80% not happy. We put teledramas, we put ads. We see the most popular teledramas. But the most popular teledramas are the teledramas that the main actress has a lot of issues. People love to see other people's problems. The more problems teledrama has, the more popular it is. Amazing. People love to see other people's problems. Because I have 5 problems, that person has 8 problems, so I'm happy. That type of stuff. So it doesn't make any sense. Or you can watch teledramas. I'm not asking you not to watch it. But you have to understand that it is something which you have to see your personality, whether you are a positive, energetic personality or whether you are a person who look at the negative stuff. So I sincerely advise you that you work on your softer skills. Like some people, when they get blasted in office on Monday morning at 8 o'clock, some people take almost like 1 full day to recover. Some people take 1 week to recover. Imagine a person who takes 1 day to recover. He gets blasted on Monday morning and another blasting on Tuesday morning. So your entire day gets miserable. The faster you recover, the better it is. That is personal, and you cannot do it overnight. The softer skills side, you have to work. Research says if you have a certain new behavior for more than 65 days, it gets cemented. So you have to continuously do it. It's like you go to the gym and try to do exercise. You go in front of a mirror, you will see that you will not. There's no change. At least you have to go for 3 months to see that change, any change, continuously. Behaviors are like that, personal, because you are in a paradigm. To change that paradigm, you have to consciously challenge it. It's like a baby elephant. I'll give you an example. A baby elephant, a small baby elephant, when the elephant tie in a chain, the chain is definitely stronger than the elephant. And you try to break it, the elephant cannot break that chain. But when the fellow becomes 10 stones, the chain is just nothing for the elephant. But still, the elephant is in a paradigm that I cannot break this chain. And that's why when the fellow goes berserk, breaking that chain is just nothing. So likewise, you're also in a paradigm. So you have to challenge your paradigm. Oh, this is what I am right now. How can I change for good? And that's constant discussion. You have to have it. Now of course, we had a board meeting today, and the trend is now at 35, 38. People can hit the board level. And you can earn, don't get me wrong, money is just a very secondary criteria. 1 million rupees at the age of 35, 38. But you have to be smart. You have to be smart. The opportunities are there. With the recession, opportunities are there. But it's up to you to how to grab it. You don't have to be 55 or you have to be 45 plus to hit the top of a company. Very young people get opportunities now. But those opportunities to grab it, you have to be different from the rest. That is your game. Do not blame anyone for your future. Whether it's a plus success, you take the credit. If you have failed, you take the blame. The people who blame, say if you fail the exam, blaming the faculty or the university or anyone or the friends is not on. Likewise, I have never blamed, but in my life I had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of failures. But I think my strike rate is okay, if I can be satisfied with what I've achieved. But it's important that I always talk to myself, right, I should take over responsibility of my failures and success. So don't come to that position of blaming others. Right? It is your responsibility of your future. You must be knowing in 18th century, the Black Death of childbirth. It's a very, when mothers give birth to small kids and the moms dying within 24 hours, and doctors blame the mom, saying that due to various reasons, and doctors never took the responsibility. And Dr. Oliver later on, after about 10 years, and Black Death of childbirth, the parents, the mother is dying and the small kids are dying. Huge issue in Europe, and it went on, and later on realized it is not the problem with the mothers, it's a problem with the doctors, because they were not sterilizing the equipment properly, and they were doing the autopsy in the morning of dead bodies and doing the operations in the afternoon. And the real problem was the doctors. Those doctors were blaming the other way. So it took almost 10 years. So most of the time, the problem can be you. Don't blame the others. You take the responsibility of your future. That's very crucial. And finally, I want to tell you, especially in a crisis like this, or very challenging time like that, we have inculcated that is that try to help the other people. Don't try to be selfish. That's very important. It's a global thing that you honestly try to help your colleagues, your friends, anybody whom you can help sincerely, try to do that. I'll give a simple example. The American Navy SEALs are supposed to be probably the most fierce warriors in the world, you know. And once the Navy SEALs, if you see the Navy SEALs training, is the hardest on earth in terms of training. So one of the ex-officers were asked how to become a Navy SEAL. What type of people get selected as a Navy SEAL? Then he said that I really cannot tell what sort of person gets selected, but I'll tell you the people who are not getting selected. The people with huge muscles like Frankenstein looking are having very slim chance of getting selected. The top athletes who runs 100 meters below 12 seconds, 11 seconds, top athletes, very limited chance of getting selected. People with very high brain, they solve problems accurately within no time, are very slim. There's a chance of getting selected very slim. But I'll tell you, people who are getting selected are the people who are fully exhausted mentally and physically, but still they bring some energy from the core and help the person to the right and help the person to the left. And those are the people who get selected. And some are very skinny looking people, and they do exceptionally well in life. So that's the core message, is that it is important in life to help people unconditionally. And that has worked, and that's why Navy SEALs, when they get into your corporate life, they do it very well. I've seen it. That's the culture at Maliban. We say, hey, don't look for other people's weakness. Try to help each other. Try to help each other. And work as one full core united team. And that combined strength is better than, you know, having individual games. So that's really important. So with that, I hope I have another assignment and I have to make a move. I just wanted to share some of my experience, some of the corporate experience, as well as some of the tips that for you to shape up. Just to sum up, I'll take 3 minutes to sum up what we discussed. Is that in a business world, of course, when things are pretty tough, you focus on things what you can do, even in your personal life. Put your energy. Try to do that, you will see results rather than wasting your time things you cannot control. You must be, if you do an analysis, you must be spending a lot of time on things you can control. Don't waste your energy on that. And do your fundamentals right. Do your fundamentals right. And then, of course, digitalization is very important. You have to be savvy, but of course, it's something, that's the stream. When you get into a company or even your own personal business, is that select what you want. The technology is one thing, get used to it and get the best out of it. And that's, you can see 3 years down the line, as McKinsey, one of the partners recently said, what you have done before in 10 years, now it's almost done in 10 months. Or 10 months what has done in 10 days, you do it because of the digitalization. It's pretty fast, but your adaptability and using the right information is very important for decision making and accuracy. And finally, in terms of your own future, select an area which inspires you. Don't go behind question, don't go behind movies at a very early stage or even in your life. And do whatever thing you do enjoy. And continuously improve yourself. Try to improve your softer skill side. Learn from everyone. Don't laugh at people for their mistakes. That's something you should avoid. Because laughing at a person, you will not gain anything into which. I've worked with the top marketers in the world, working for Coke. I was with the Coke South African team. Oh, you must see how helpful. And these guys are, the humbleness is amazing. They are in Coke Atlanta, some of the guys, is absolutely, because they are at a different, you call it level 5 leadership. So you will reach those positions one day. But you have to be absolutely, use the hat of learning. As I told you, you can learn from even beggars. As the books have been written on top, like blending consultants, learning selling techniques from Mumbai, payment hawkers, and things like that. And any problem, anything that you come, change the gear to the solution. Don't be a negative person. If you become a negative person, they call it, it's like you're on a reverse gear. You can go at a very high speed on a reverse gear. That's no issue. It's your choice. And don't blame anybody. Or don't give anybody the credit for your success. It's your game. You have to take the lead. You can take advice, definitely. You can take guidance. That's important. But end of the day, it is your life. And you take the responsibility. And in your journey, if you do those fundamentals right, you will be happy. Because happiness is something which today, because we are exposed to a whole heap of negative information, and you have to continuously talk to yourself and say whether I'm a happy person or a neutral person or a negative person. Try to understand your own mindset rather than before trying to understand other people's mindset. And we ask people, last week I saw a research, then just give 5 of your life examples, life memories we call it. And out of these 5 life memories, at least 80%, 4 are negative things. Some death, losing of jobs and things like that. Not pleasant memories. That's how the mental brain is geared for. So you have to replace it. Very good. Okay, what are the 5 memories? Whatever the age you are, 25, what are the 5 big memories? All should be pleasant stuff. Because the memory, most of the thing, we have seen this with relationship. If you have 5 good experience or 10 good experience with a friend and 1 bad experience, you try to remember that 1 bad experience forgetting all 10 interactions. That's not good. I try to do it purposely. Some people, 2 bad experience, 8 good, remember the 8. Don't worry about the 2. Because if you think on those bad experiences, you are the person who will suffer, not the other person. Not the other person. So why should you suffer because of another person? Because of your thinking pattern. So you have to challenge your paradigm. So do a little bit of paradigm testing, paradigm shifting. Because when you're studying, you have to do that. You have to do it. Because you are used to a certain paradigm from Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you challenge the paradigm. And then you say, oh, this is a beautiful world. And you will enjoy studies, you will enjoy your professional career, you will enjoy your personal life, and end of the day, you will be a happy individual and a successful individual. So without further ado, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I hope that some of these points, and again, just to finalize, it's just if you take 1 or 2 points and absorb to yourself, I don't know how many students here, whatever the number, that's my picture of success. Right? Don't try to do 5 things at the same time. You may not do it anything. Right? My key learning is 1 point I will absorb to myself and I'll do it. I'll be the happiest. Or I have learned 7 points I want to apply from tomorrow. God bless you. It won't happen that way. Right? So select 1 or 2. We send training people, even overseas, spending a few millions. 5-day program. Just do 2 things. 2 learnings. Apply to yourself. That's enough. 5-day program. Not like 1 hour speech. So like 8 into 5, 40 hours of learning. Take 2 things, apply to yourself. That's your quite happy. 5 days we have spent for 4 million, act like 10 things what you are learning. Don't do it. Okay. So thank you very much. Is there any question and answers here? Okay. So I hope all the best and enjoy your life and enjoy your studies. Thank you.